All right. Do you want to go in? Bring us in, Danny.
Sure.
Let's bring
Sure.
it in, Danny.
Yeah. All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Fake Philosophers. I am one of your hosts. My name is Danny. With me today, my twin, my brother, Mr. Michael Glenny.
Hello, hello, hello. It made me laugh. So I think I may have told you this a month or two ago. My barber fucked my hair up, and so I just chopped it all off. And I did it again. Literally, I got out of the shower before we started recording, and in the shower I did it again. I was like, oh, I got Danny hair.
Holy shit, I've never seen it that short on you. Holy shit. Looks good. It looks real good.
It looks. I noticed too because I think I told you. I may have told you. So my barber, she didn't fuck my hair up. So she doesn't speak a lot of English, and I think she was just doing what the cool kids do. You know, like a lot, like the in thing right now is like short on the sides and then long on top.
Yeah, the undercut.
However you style on top is whatever. But so she cut it like that, and she just kind of slicked it back, so I didn't really notice. And then like the next day after I took a shower and shit, I was like, why is my hair so long on top? Like it was a line like right here,
Yeah.
and it was just like long. And I wear hats all the time anyway, but I was like, fuck, like what the? So after like a week, I got tired of it, and when I was in the shower, I just chopped it all off, and I was like, oh. This looks better because the longer it is, the more your hair loss shows.
Yeah.
So
Why do you think I started cutting mine? Like I got the widow's peak, and I know like your widow's peak is up there with mine.
It's a little sharper, yeah, but
yeah. But like when I had my hair long, the haircut you hated, it showed so bad.
Oh yeah. No, so I did that, and I was like, "Oh, this is nice. Like, I don't have to worry about styling it. I don't have to worry about this.
Super low maintenance. It's cool. In that,
it's literally cool. Not like
controlled.
cool, not cool like hip. Like cool, like
Yeah.
you're not sweating as much.
Yeah. Super nice.
So yeah. So I literally just it's this short. And I literally just did it. I think last time you saw me with my hat off, it had grown a little bit.
Yeah.
But so I literally just did this within the last hour.
Looks good. I like it.
Yeah. And it's nice, and again, I don't have to style it. I started wearing a hat a lot because I just got sick of like doing my hair every morning. Mm-hmm. And so now, if I don't want to wear a hat, I just walk outside and I'm good. Anyway, topical topics today, Danny. Any topics?
I was thinking we could talk about
Happy Mother's Day.
Let's talk about Mother's Day and my problem with Mother's Day, motherfucker. No,
Grinds my gears about. Hey, don't forget about the single dads. It's their day
they get
too.
Father's Day. They get Father's Day.
I know. I'm fucking around. That shit bugs me.
Well, there has been like issues like people like being upset with Mother's Day and Father's Day, and I'm like, why?
What's the issue?
What's the issue? Yeah, like, and they're like, well, it's just not fair. What if we're not mothers or fathers?
There's an uncles and aunts day.
Oh God.
There, dude. If you go to and I could probably find it and put it in the description. There's a link I remember I saw 'cause for the bar I was gonna do like little promotions for like random holidays. Mm-hmm. It's a fucking holiday for everything. Like whether or not we celebrate it nationally is one thing, but there is a holiday for everything. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah, and
anyway.
So yeah, I was just like, well, if just become a mother or father.
That's an option. That's an option. I've loved that now it's kind of evened out. It started with Father's Day. Where on Father's Day, all these single moms were like, well, single moms are fathers too because they have to do both roles. And I was like, you had your shit. You had your Mother's Day.
Yeah.
Now it's Father's Day. That's what my single dad's line was for. But I think now they've all the single moms cut that shit out.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think. Anyway.
Because they all got like, you're fucking stupid. Shut up. You had your day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or they should have a single mom's day. Single Mother's Day.
Single Mother's Day, yeah.
A second one.
It's Mother's Day.
You don't celebrate the first one. You have to celebrate on Single Mother's Day.
Yeah. So stupid.
I know. Anyway,
stupid.
Topical topics, Danny.
I was thinking we could talk about George Santos.
Mr. Santos, yes.
And, reality catching up with him.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we can just jump right into it.
Yeah.
This last week, George Santos was indicted on 13 charges, most to do with fraud of some kind or another. The big one being employment insurance fraud. And the reason this is a big deal is because he was just put on a committee or he was signed on to a bill that would significantly impact or significantly reduce something to do with employment insurance fraud. Now, I'm not a political analyst. I'm not I'm not in government. But I think there's a conflict of interest there, and that he should not be attached to that bill or committee or whatever it is.
Yeah, well, I mean, let's rewind for a moment for those who are in the dark politically. I consider myself generally in the shade, not in the dark, but in the shade when it comes to politics these days.
Yeah.
But if you don't know who George Santos is, George Santos made the headlines back in November and December because he won his seat in, I forgot what district in New York. And then after he won the seat, turns out everything he ran on was a lie. And not in like your typical politician making lies, like literally everything about his background, everything about his story, everything that he campaigned on and his personal history was a lie. He didn't go to the school he claimed he went to. He didn't own the company he claimed he owned. I might be misspeaking, but you get the point. He said he played volleyball at some college that he didn't attend and he didn't play volleyball at. He made all these claims that he ran on, that I know business, I'm educated, etc., etc. And he it turns out he never went to any of these schools. He never owned this business. All these things were lies. He had a different name he went under. I think it was Anthony DeVolder.
That was just one. He's had multiple.
Yeah, and then it even came out that he was very much against... I mean, I guess he is gay, and I guess he was married to a woman, but a lot of gay guys are married to women at some point, so that's not a big deal. But, he said that, he's very much against drag queen story hour, drag queens in general. It turns out at one point he actually dressed in drag and performed... I'm not sure if he performed as a drag queen or he dressed in drag, but I remember that was a thing.
So I think that, this is where the Democratic side of media kind of pushes a little too far, I feel. This was in Brazil during Carnival, and it's very, very, very typical for men to dress in drag during Carnival or dress flamboyantly. So if this was in fact from Carnival in Brazil, then
it's not the same thing.
It's not the same thing, but if it's
not, and I could give two fucks if he dressed in drag. The point is, he's so against drag. He's one of those guys now that pushes against it. That it's like, oh, you've dressed in drag. I could give two fucks if he dressed in drag, but if I could give two fucks if you smoke weed, Danny. But if you run for office on a platform of we should ban weed,
anti-weed, yeah,
I'd be like, wait a second.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's some background for the Santos. And so he had committees, but when all this shit started happening, he was kind of pressured to resign from those committees, and he did. And now this. And I get called a bleeding heart liberal a lot, and I don't think I am, but this is an example of why I am hard on Republicans these days. And it's not because I'm a liberal or a Democrat. I'm not. But so, do you remember when Al Franken pretty much got pushed to resign?
There was no push. There was literally no push.
And that's my point, though. So Al Franken, it was a tasteless humor, I guess you would say, where he posed on a USO show when he was a comedian, pretending to touch some, I forgot the woman's name, while she was sleeping. He wasn't touching her, but he was pretending to touch her in this photo, and it leaked, and pretty much all these people said, look at that monster. He's a sexual predator ever. And the Democratic Party was like, yo, dude, you fucked up. And immediately, Al Franken was like, all right, I'll resign. Even though it was just a tasteless, it was a tasteless piece of humor. No one got hurt. I guess the woman did feel a little, violated by it, but he resigned instantly. Nowadays, and this is where I'll pick on Republicans, and you can call me a liberal, but when, one side of the aisle is yelling louder than the other, it's hard not to ignore it. if this was a Democrat, the Democrats would have his ass out already.
Oh yeah,
I'll give them that. Sometimes they go a little too far, like with Al Franken. Like he should, like that was a little bit much, but like he lied in his campaign. Like most of his constituents have like polled that they don't even want him there anymore because they feel like they've been duped. And then now this.
yeah.
And all these people are like, well, it's not a big deal. People have been indicted in office before. Like this motherfucker should resign. I don't even care what the indictments are. Mm-hmm. And like you said, the conflict of interest of the bill he's a part of. Yeah, that's a big deal, but you already had this this controversy. Now you're being indicted on what you said, 13 counts?
I believe it was 13 counts, and the charges range from fraud, money laundering, theft of public funds, and false statements. Statements.
Like, I've said this before. I'm going to make some metaphors. That's how I work. As we're both pro second people, right? Mm-hmm. Generally speaking. Now, but I'm not against gun control because I don't own a gun right now, but as a potential gun owner, I want to know the people with guns are the good guys with the guns, not some fucking nutbags. As a driver, I'm okay if they want to make more driving laws because I think I'm a good driver. As a good driver, I want to know that the other drivers are all good drivers. Get the bad ones out. So if I'm a part of a well, might edit that out, Danny.
What?
If I was part of a political party in power, and I'm a seated part of that party, I would want all the bad seeds out. So the fact that they are almost like, not all of them, but a lot of these fucking nuts are like not defending him, but kind of slyly defending him. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like you got Romney and some of these guys who are like, no, he should fucking resign immediately. But the majority of the party is like kind of quietly having his back until they can't anymore. It's like, get his ass out.
Yeah.
Like he's making you look bad. Like I've never understood, like as a bartender, if I see bad bartenders, it makes me mad.
Yeah.
Like I don't. You talk.
So here's the thing: Republicans don't look at it like, oh, he's making us look bad. They're looking at it like that's a vote for us. That is a voice. That is another Republican voice in the House. And right now, they have such a slim margin of majority that every Republican they can get, they will take. And that's why it's taken so long for this shit to happen.
No, I get it. I do get it. I just it makes me angry that like the Democrats will jump so hard to get rid of Franken for a tasteless photo where nothing's really happening, but then this shit happens, and everyone's like, "Well, hold on a second, like, hold on, don't jump to conclusions." And it's like, well, what was it? The guy running for, I forgot if it was Senate or something in like Tennessee, I forgot, or Alabama, where he had like had relationships with women underage. It was some years back.
Matt Gaetz?
No, that's Florida, and no, I forgot. It was an older guy's name running for like governor or Senate. I forgot what it was, and like he apparently all these women came out and said like, yeah, I was in a relationship with him underage. I'll remember his name as soon as we end this show. I promise. But and then like all these people defended him, and it's like, weed out the bad guys, bring in the good ones. Like, what's happening to you?
And I want to say this goes to like that whole like Soviet style of thinking where it's like, no. We must appear strong. We must appear united. And it's like, if we allow any chink in the armor, then we lose.
Maybe, yeah.
And it's like, Jesus Christ. It boggles my mind.
Yeah. I just don't get it. Like, and granted, we could look at the Democrat Party and tear them apart for certain reasons, but right now, the Republicans, like, I just don't get they're letting these few nut jobs have their voices heard and be the loud voice of the party. Meanwhile, ousting those who are kind of actually rational Republicans. You looked at what happened with Liz Cheney. Liz Cheney's crime was just saying, yeah, the election was not stolen and Donald Trump lost. Maybe we should move forward without him. And because of that, she was ousted from leadership and she lost her re-election bid. Like, so you have a rational Republican who's just admitting reality, ousted. Meanwhile, you have a guy who lied in his campaign and is indicted, and they're like, no, this is our boy.
He represents our values.
I don't get me wrong, like, I'm not a fucking Democrat, but like, you can't defend this Republican Party anymore, in my opinion. And I get, and if Mitch was here, Mitch would try, but I think even he knows. Like, he even admitted that Trump was a horrible candidate. He voted for him just because he wanted the Republican values. I could respect that to a degree, but the actual individuals in that party anymore, like, it's hard. It's hard. Like, how do you? I don't know.
Yeah.
On another episode, we'll rip into the Democrats, but for now, it's the Republicans taking it. Anyway,
yeah.
And I've heard a theory that Desantos will. The reason why he's not resigning, as he should, and I actually, as much as I don't like the guy, I think this is actually smart because I've thought about this. I guess if you serve out your term in full, you get like the benefits and the retirement for like ever.
Yeah.
So if he just holds out for 2 years, he gets all those benefits.
I don't think he's going to make it 2 years, man.
I don't know.
But then
I think he might.
Like, so we know there's Republicans in the House that want him gone. And because there's a slim majority, I think that if it comes to a vote to kick him out, he'll get kicked out.
I don't know if there's that many in the House that actually want him gone. I know like some of the people in the Senate have expressed their disgust with him, but I haven't heard about anybody in the House.
Okay.
Unless I'm mistaken. I could be mistaken. But like you said,
I could be mistaken.
Yeah, but like you said, I don't think they'll vote him out because that's a vote, and they can't guarantee that they'll get another Republican to replace him. Unless in New York they just get a point. I don't know the fucking. Anyway, fuck DeSantos. That guy's a wiener. I have in my notes to transition. I have bicycles on the road. What's your opinion?
We need to work on some transitional material because fuck.
No, because I think we were pretty much done with DeSantos.
Are you saying DeSantos?
Ah, shit, DeSantis. I listened to a podcast. Who he started saying DeSantos on purpose.
Uh-huh.
Like Rick DeSantis and then George Santos, and I think it just kind of it implanted in my head.
Yeah.
Because he thought it was funny, so he kept saying it, and then now it just implanted in my head. Anyway, I'm sure I'll get roasted.
It's so funny. You couldn't even say the other guy's name right either. Ron DeSantis.
Did I say George DeSantis?
No, you said Rick.
Rick, dude. It's been a long week.
It's cool. You're not, like you said, you're shaded. You're not
I'm in the
dark,
shade.
but you're not in the light of politics. I get it.
Listen,
I'm plugged in. It's fine.
The previous president, Ronald Dump, I'm just not a fan of.
Ronald Dump. Yeah.
John Lydon, not a big fan either.
John Lydon.
Anyway, bicycles on the road.
Yeah.
I think I wrote that because people riding their bikes were cutting me off, and it made me mad. Here's my opinion, my controversial opinion. If you're on a bicycle and there's a sidewalk, you should ride on the sidewalk. No?
Nope.
Why?
Because it's a sidewalk. Pedestrian traffic, that's where pedestrians go.
You are on a bicycle. You are a pedestrian.
No, you're not. That is, pedestrian literally means on your feet. Ped.
This is why our country is going down the shitter, Danny, is because people like you are defending bicycles on the road when there's a sidewalk. If you have two lanes, and there's sidewalks, get the fuck off the street. You're in the way.
No. I am not defending bikes on the road. I am defending bikes not on the sidewalk.
You're a monster.
No, I'm just take them on. Bikes don't belong anywhere. How about just on a track?
Just run to work.
Just run. Just go. I don't fucking care. Or stay in the fucking bike lane.
Well, that's the thing. So I'm fine if there's a bike lane, fine. But like, I'm not sure, you probably haven't. There's a road near my house where like it's 2 lanes and it's kind of thin 2 lanes and sidewalks. And if some of these fucking cyclists, whatever you fucking call them, I almost said bikers. These cyclists are rolling in one of their fucking clubs and they're like three deep from the right and then like 7 back, and you get stuck behind them. It just bothers the shit out of me. Like, go one by one.
Yeah.
So cars can go around you. That's what I'm saying. If there's a sidewalk and there's no bike lane, go on the sidewalk.
Dude, honestly, at that point, they're in your house. They are on the road. If you hit them, that's their fault, not yours.
I think legally it's mine. I dream about
dude,
doing
all
that.
you got to say is, look, I was trying to avoid them. They swerved out. And then it's a he said, he said.
It bothers me when they take the road up and they don't even care. They don't give you a wave like sorry. Like, you ever like kind of accidentally cut someone off and you're kind of like, sorry. They don't do that.
No, I will tell you right now, they are assholes. Because one, they claim that they want to be treated like motorists, but then they don't follow motoring laws.
Mm-hmm.
They will blow through stop signs. They will go through crosswalks, and it's like, what the fuck are you guys doing? Pick a lane, so to speak. But no, I totally get it. Like, I see where that hate comes from. I felt that hate.
Makes me mad,
It's
Danny.
a strong word. But I really, really, really don't like them.
I get disappointed.
Mm-hmm.
Angry and disappointed.
Yeah, frustrated.
In my countrymen, yes.
Yeah.
While we're tackling the big topics here.
Yeah. What else you got?
I don't know. Let me look at my little list here. I have a few different lists.
What do you know about the debt ceiling? The national debt ceiling?
Very little.
Okay.
Very little.
I just want to bring this up because to anybody who listens to this podcast, when people in Congress are talking about raising the debt ceiling, that doesn't mean what you think it means.
I have heard that the very basic understanding of a debt ceiling is not correct when it comes to the national level. Yeah.
And I was guilty of this until like the last couple months or so. The debt ceiling, if I'm going to get this correct, what most people think the debt ceiling is, they think of it as kind of like goalposts that we can move back so that we don't default on our debt. So it's like, okay, we're gonna move the goalpost back so that we can spend more money and not go into like more debt. That is false. The debt ceiling is essentially the amount of money we are allowed to pay off the debt. So the amount of money we can allocate from federal funds that go into paying off our debt. And right now, what Democrats want to do is they want to raise the debt ceiling, meaning they want to allocate more federal money to paying off the debt. Okay. Now, the problem that we're having, or that Democrats are having, is that no Democrats really like yell this from the podium. Nobody gets out on Twitter and says, "Hey, this is what this means." So that's why I'm taking this time right now to do it. To reach our thousands and thousands of potential listeners.
We're gonna change 25 lives right now.
Yeah, we are. We're gonna change 25 lives. So when people when they start talking about raising the debt ceiling, they're just talking about allocating more federal money that already exists to paying off the debt. So taking federal money from I don't know, the Pentagon, who spends billions and doesn't keep track of it, and taking that money and allocating it towards paying off the debt. That's all raising the debt ceiling means. It doesn't mean increasing our debt. It doesn't mean providing more financial wiggle room to increase the debt. It means taking money that we already have, money that's already been borrowed, and paying that off.
Okay. I learned something today too.
There we go.
Yeah. But that's ultimately, as you know, that's ultimately the problem with a lot of our politics is that I would say they pay attention to the headline, not the story.
Yes. Yeah.
Kind of to make a metaphor out of that.
And one side definitely screams louder than the other side.
Well, yeah, that's arguable too, but that's just a problem with politics is that I'm repeating myself. The headline is the story instead of the actual context of the story.
Mm-hmm.
And you can make any number of examples of that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I just thought of something really clever. One side of our government thinks their constituents are smarter than they are, and the other side knows just how stupid they really are.
I think that's arguable.
Yeah?
I do think. Well, I heard someone say this. It was that Democrats and Republicans both suck dick, but Democrats swallow and Republicans spit. And I kind of was like, "That's good."
I don't.
I
You're
think
gonna have
it's
to
good.
explain that metaphor and why.
I don't know.
Sense.
It just came to mind because, like, to me, I think Democrats are very, in different ways. Republicans are very much like, not all like we're talking about the loud ones now. They're very much like, fuck you. Like we're gonna do what we want. Fuck you. Whereas Democrats want to appear to be the party that empathizes with you and understands you, but really they still suck dick. They're swallowing. Definitely.
They're going the extra mile.
But they still suck dick. Whereas Republicans, fuck you.
Okay.
But unfortunately, I'll agree to an extent that a lot of Republican voters are easily duped or don't understand things. I think a lot of Democrat voters just vote Democrat because there's nothing better.
I mean, yeah.
That's my opinion.
And that's kind of fucked up, in my opinion.
That's the two-party system, Danny.
I know.
Anyway, bikes on the road.
Bikes on the road, yeah.
No, I just saw one. So this might be a little bit of a pivot. I'm trying to think. I have two files on my phone. One file is like ideas that I just had, and then one of like the ideas that we mentioned. Like, oh, we'll talk about that later.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking through that one right now.
Okay.
And I'm not. I'm gonna wait for Mitch to be around for that one.
Okay.
Should I offer a preview?
Yeah, preview.
Diving into old quotes. For example, if you sacrifice freedom for security, you deserve neither.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a dumb fucking quote, but it's quoted a lot. Preview for a future episode.
Okay.
I saw your
rolling over in his grave right now.
I saw your face. You were like, "What the fuck?" Oh, I'm out there, Danny. Concept of white pride. Star Wars: The Rule of Two and why it's dumb. Danny versus Mike. Endgame created two time. Oh, because when we talked about Endgame, I said it created two timelines, and you said it didn't. How the U.S. would pragmatically break up. I think we were discussing this idea of the United States breaking up into different like countries and how. Mm-hmm. Granted, that's not going to fucking happen, but if it did happen, how that would actually work.
Yeah.
Weird opinions on voting and voting laws. Oh, I think we talked about a new segment. He's out of line, but he's right. Where we talk about something along those lines.
Yeah.
Why Mike hates Anheuser-Busch. I could actually take that one off.
You take that one off. Yeah, we went over that in depth.
Mitch Solo. Why Joker sucks. I remember that. I think he meant the movie, not the actual character. Funeral bandwagoning.
What?
That was one of my topics. It's something that really bothers me. We can talk about that if you want.
I just need to know what it means.
No, we can talk about that. I may have mentioned this before. So, funeral bandwagoning is a pet peeve of mine. Oh, this is an audition story. Sorry, now I'm actually looking through it. Yeah, funeral bandwagoning. So, the example I give, and I think, I hate to say the line, we may have talked about this before. It's like when, so the example I give, and I'm not going to say any names, obviously. There's a guy I knew who I was good friends with in middle school. Good guy. As we got into high school, he's kind of one of those white dudes in suburbia who like found reasons to be more of a gangster, if you will. Even though he had a good family. His family was very nice. I knew them. Stepdad was kind of a dick, but whatever. And then he for some reason found reasons to feel sorry for himself and go out there and start doing like gang behavior and shit with other white dudes of the same nature. And that's when I kind of was like, I don't want to really hang out with this guy anymore. Because even though I was in high school, I did have that at least kind of maturity of like, what are you doing? That's stupid. So I kind of distanced myself from him. Then going into like the college years, same thing. He didn't really go to, I think he went to community college for a couple years, but he dropped out, knocked up some bitch, but didn't stay with her. Kind of not a great father from what I heard. I could be wrong. And he ended up moving out of state to try to get himself together, But from what I heard, even there, like he was doing drugs and shit. And then we found out that like he had overdosed on some sort of drug. I remember thinking like, yeah, it's horrible, but I wasn't surprised. I was like, yeah, that was the path he went down. And then like on social media, the funeral wasn't here, but I remember like talking to people, but especially on social media, people were posting, like everyone does, rest in peace, this person. And we're talking about how great of a guy this guy was and how this and that. And even like the baby mama, who was not a good person either, from what I understand, was posting about how like, oh my God, I miss him. He was such a great father. Like, can't believe he's gone. What am I going to do? And I remember thinking, and this is with all respect to him, his family and everything, but I was thinking like, did we know the same guy?
Yeah.
And so the concept of a funeral bandwagon is someone dies. And don't get me wrong, like, people have died and I show respect. I didn't say anything rude about this guy. But when you start remembering someone differently because they died, or you make it about yourself, that's the funeral bandwagoning. For instance, I'm not going to say his name just in case, but like a good friend of ours passed away several years ago. Mm-hmm. I'm sure you remember. And there was one or two people. It was kind of a big deal.
No, it's fuzzy. Man.
But there was, I'm not going to go into details. It was one person, but like I'll say just a couple people who posted like, oh my God, this person passed away and poor me. And all these people were like, I'm so sorry for your loss. And I remember thinking like, you bitch.
Was this somebody from Las Vegas?
Yes.
Okay. Somebody that I've met?
Yes. And granted, okay. I don't think she meant ill about it, but it's like, this is not and seeing people like talk to her like about her loss.
Yeah.
And I was like,
it wasn't.
And granted, she should mourn. Like everyone has the right to mourn, but it did bother me. Like this is not about you. And
you hadn't talked to the guy in what, 2 years?
Yeah. You tore it. Now we're getting specific.
You tore his fucking
heart out. You did him dirty as shit. And you hadn't talked to him in a while. I think they maybe said hello once or twice, but yeah, like you hadn't talked to him in a while. You did him dirty, like all this shit, and now you said like, oh my God, I can't believe he's gone. And all these people are commenting on her posts like, oh, we're so sorry for your loss. I was like, wait a second. Like, what? Just hold on. And so that's the concept of funeral bandwagon. There's a few different elements of it. It's one, making it about yourself. Two, remembering someone for not who they were, for the sake of likes, if you will. Mm-hmm. And that's pretty much the main two, is making it about yourself and then remembering them incorrectly, so that it's kind of like you saw Jesselnick's take on thoughts and prayers.
Yeah.
His whole take was something horrible happens, but remember me.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what, in my opinion, funeral bandwagon is, and it fucking bothers the shit out of me.
Yeah.
So
no, that makes total sense. Yeah. Thank you for going in. I know that took a lot, and I appreciate you.
No, it's a passionate subject for me. All right, I could knock that out the list, I guess. Arguments about vaccination, the unconventional healthy relationship tactics. I forgot what that was about.
Interesting.
Mitch and the Imagine song. Mitch really hates Imagine by John Lennon.
Okay.
He really doesn't like that song. And in an episode, he said
I'm
he
not
wanted to go into it.
surprised. I'm not surprised by that at all.
Yeah, no, I'm not either. But L.A. highways and traffic situation. That's another one. Legendary actors who aren't actually good actors.
Oh, that's a good one.
I feel like Mitch should be around for that one. Unconditional love for family and or, quote, respect your elders.
I'm totally down talking about that shit.
Or, something more deep. Star Wars, the rule of two, and why it's dumb.
You know what? That is something that me and you can talk about.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Do you think
Why
it's
is
a dumb
the rule
rule?
of two dumb?
It's so. Yes, it worked in the prequels.
It didn't work in the prequels.
You're talking about they laid low for years. They planned this out and they made it work.
And then what did Sidious do to Plagueis?
It's dumb. Yeah.
Fucking killed him.
It didn't
work.
Dumb. It did work because it's kind of like how we call China communist, but they're not communist. They're pretty fucking capitalist, but we call them communist. The rule of two isn't even the rule of two.
No.
So no one's even following it because it's a dumb rule. How do you expect to wield power in a fucking galaxy with two people? Lots of manipulation, sure, but...
So this goes into that whole thing that I was talking about balance in the Force and how it works. So, when you have, the light side of the Force and you have thousands of Jedi, that light is spread out among those thousands of Jedi.
Yeah.
When you have the dark side of the Force and you only have two, that darkness is spread to only those two. So those two are the most powerful dark side wielders ever. So
yes.
So this is when you have a guy like Sidious and Maul or Tyrannus or whatever, you effectively have because there's always balance. There is always balance in the Force.
Okay.
It just happens to manifest itself in the way that power is dispersed among those who practice it. So by eliminating all of the Jedi, you didn't get rid of the light. The light was still there. It was just better dispersed between the surviving Jedi.
So you think the Force works in the way Jet Li was working in the One?
Exactly. Fucking exactly, yes.
I don't know if I agree with you on that, but that's a take. My point is that it's such a dumb fucking rule that even the people who follow it don't follow it. Hey, we're going to have a dozen Inquisitors to go hunt Jedi. Are they Sith Lords? Are they anti-Jedi? No. But they wield the Force, yes. They have lightsabers, yes. They're Sith Lords. They're anti-Jedi. No. There's only two Sith. Rule of two. They're using the dark side. They have red lightsabers, and they're using the Force. No. They're not Jedi, or they're not Sith. No. It's a dumb rule that they use loopholes to get around.
You know what? There's probably books that go into what it means to be a Sith. And I'm sure being knighted within the dark side, getting christened within the dark side is one of those things. The Inquisitorius were never christened in the dark side. They were corrupted Jedi.
Oh, goddamn! We're talking about semantics here.
Exactly we are. Yes, but I think in that christening, that's where that whole.
That's what it's a fucking loophole. That's what I'm saying.
Have you
100%
met George Lucas? Do you know how George Lucas writes?
Yes, but that's what I'm saying. So I don't think did Lucas create the rule too?
No, it came in a book.
I thought that was a fan, in the extended universe.
It wasn't even a fan. It was a what they call Marvel or Star Wars Legends canon now.
That's what I mean, yeah. But the whole concept of because what I think was it Darth Bane, right?
Yeah, Darth Bane created the rule.
We're getting in the nerd shit now. Darth Bane created it because if I recall, and you would know better, is that he said the infighting within the Sith is destroying it. So to stop that, you keep it to two people, master and apprentice. And no matter what happens, the Sith wins. Because if the apprentice tries to kill the master and the master takes the apprentice down, that's a weak Sith. They don't deserve to live. So he'll find a stronger one. Excuse me. If the apprentice kills the master is actually happy about it because now there's a stronger master. And they'll find a stronger apprentice. Cycle goes on. And that makes sense in a very small way, but it's still only two of you motherfuckers. And instead of creating an army to fight the Jedi, there's only two of you. And that's why they had to do the deception shit from the prequels, because you cannot stand up to them in a straight fight.
Yeah.
And I guess that's kind of cool, but I just think it's a dumb rule.
I mean, so the point about the whole infighting and whatnot, it's like, if Bane created the rule of two to stop the infighting, he failed. Because
well, yeah, by definition,
the whole thing about being a Sith is to crave power. And this goes into that whole thing that I was talking about. By killing your master, you absorb that dark side power. And that even kind of showed its face in the sequels when Palpatine wanted Rey to kill him. Because if Rey killed him, she would absorb his power and he would become Rey, in essence. And he even says, I am all the Sith. I am all the Sith. I mean, it's there. It's there. It works. It's a very good theory, in my opinion.
I think it's a theory. I think it's interesting, but I think it's a theory. Because by that, I don't even know how to respond, but by that logic, assuming that there's not that many other Jedi out there, Rey by default, so anyone who just has Force ability is just immediately stronger.
Yeah.
But they're Jedi aside, there's still millions of people in the galaxy who happen to be Force sensitive.
But the key is learning to tap into it. Like, because it's like, yeah, you get some innate ability, but there's an education that comes with it and a mastering of it.
Okay.
That's why, like, Sith can shoot lightning and Jedi can't. You know, because they have a different kind of mastery over it than the Jedi do.
Okay. I thought that was hereditary.
No, it's not hereditary.
Rey shot lightning. She's not a Sith.
But So the weird thing about Rey is that there is I forget what they call it.
Just kind of gray.
She's definitely gray, absolutely, and that's why she has a yellow lightsaber at the end of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Because she realized, like, with depressed Luke Skywalker, her lineage as a Palpatine, that there really is no sides. The best place to be as a Force user is right in the fucking middle.
On your own side, yeah.
Yeah, on your own side.
I still think her going Sith was the biggest missed opportunity in the story. But anyway.
That would have been fucking dope, dude. It would have been really fucking dope.
Yes. But yeah, going back to it. Rule 2, dumb rule. Everyone loves Darth Bane. Just like I don't like the Benjamin Franklin quote, I think the rule of 2 is dumb, and we should stop pretending it's not.
Okay.
I'm a polarizing figure, Danny. I say the things no one else wants to say.
Okay, so what's your issue with the security and freedom thing?
So I wish Mitch was here for this, but fuck it, we can bring it up again later. I'm
a constitutionalist, so
no, sure. I think that I actually have a lot of opinions that are like super not okay in America. I don't think I'll put this in my notes to talk about later. I don't think voting should be a right. Straight out. But so that quote, I think we have to stop looking at our founding fathers, which, don't get me wrong, cool guys, good guys, obviously smart people. We need to stop looking at them like they were infallible. Because all those guys had some fucking issues and were not perfect people. So a lot of people take that.
Here.
Sure.
And my video is frozen, so I don't know if you can see me.
I could hear you.
Okay. Do you know the median age of the signers of the Declaration of Independence?
I don't remember exactly, but it was like upper 20s or lower 30s, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The oldest guy to sign was like maybe 50 something.
Mm-hmm.
The youngest was like 24, 23.
Sure. Yeah.
So like, what happened?
Well, granted, and granted, the society has changed. Like fucking 13-year-olds used to command armies and shit. Like it changed.
Yeah.
I watched Command. Was it
Master and Commander?
Master Commander? That little fucking kid was running around. I was like, what the fuck? And I googled it. And I was like, oh, that's normal.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that quote gets thrown out a lot by all sides of the political spectrum. I might check in on you to make sure you can still hear me, just because I know your video is still frozen.
Yeah.
But it's kind of a dumb quote in the sense that if we talk about freedom, like complete freedom, law. Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I just turned off my camera and turned it back on.
Okay, cool. I was like, what the fuck? So the quote being, I'm going to paraphrase: if you give up if you give up freedom for security, you deserve neither. That's literally what a law is. A law is you giving up freedom for security. That's literally what a law does.
Yeah.
Every law is an infringement on your ultimate freedom. Every single law.
Mm-hmm.
So we're saying that we should have no laws.
Yeah.
And I get that I'm being a little bit hyperbolic in it, but when you throw that quote around, by giving up freedom, for security, you deserve neither. It's like, then why have laws?
So I thought you were going to take this the other way.
What?
And be like no, like we need to give up freedoms for security.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's literally what I'm saying.
Well, no, I mean you're saying like that whole thing. It's like this quote's just like you're dealing with the semantics of the quote, which is like every law is a check on our freedom so that we can be a little more secure.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
and so
I agree 100%.
But so using that quote, and I know it was one of the early episodes, you and Mitch were talking about it, and you and Mitch both said, yeah, fucking good quote. And in the back of my head, I was like, no, it's not. And I think that's when in the back of my head, I was like, we're going to talk about this one day. The dumb quote. What that quote is saying, and granted, I'm being hyperbolic, if we're infringing on our freedom for security, you don't deserve either. So we shouldn't have laws.
Yeah.
So it's a sexy quote. I'll give you that. It's a sexy quote. That
Ben
sounds
Franklin was
good.
a sexy man.
He was. Intelligently. In the brain. But it ultimately is a really dumb quote. Because what you're saying is we shouldn't give up any... like, speeding. The speed laws, granted, I break them all the time. Rarely caught. But that law is there. It's an infringement on my freedom. Huh?
Better knock on some wood.
Right there. It's by telling me I can't speed, you're infringing on my freedom. But the law is there for the security of all people. Murder. That law is there for security of all people. Now it's broken, yes, but that's why the law is there. Name any. You can't beat your children. Why? Security. But I should have the freedom to beat my children. No, we're going to put a law there so that there's security and safety. I can go down the whole fucking list. Every law is an infringement on our freedom.
Yeah.
As human beings. But we live in a society, and in society, there are rules, Danny.
We live in a society, Batman.
Am I the only one that gives a fuck about the rules? No, so I do think the quote is sexy, but at the end of the day, like, that quote doesn't make sense.
You're absolutely right. And I gotta okay, and I will say this. This quote also comes from a guy who wanted our national bird to be a turkey.
I think that would make sense, actually.
It kind of would, wouldn't it?
It would.
Just a plump, fat, dumbass thing that if it looks
purely
like
American,
it drowns.
Purely American.
Purely American.
Can't find the turkeys across the ponds.
Yep.
Yeah, and so I think it makes sense when you say it in a single argument. Like, it comes up a lot when it comes to gun control. It comes up a lot in other arguments. But, like, when you say it in a very narrow context, it's like, yeah, this makes sense. But if you actually look at the quote itself, it doesn't make sense.
Well, and what's funny about that quote is that, like, both sides of the aisle will use it when
100%.
the other one is trying to enforce something.
100%.
And it's like, that makes sense because it literally means that, like, any law should not exist.
Oh, you could use that quote to literally, you just said it, to fight any fucking law.
Yeah.
Any law. I'm trying to think of a hypothetical law that I could use it against. You could literally use it against anything.
Yeah.
And it gets brought up and it sounds good. It's a great soundbite. And I'm sure there's probably context to it with Benjamin Franklin that we're missing, and I didn't look it up.
I don't remember if I brought this up on the podcast. I might have said this before.
Okay, true story.
But talking about this makes me think about, like, infringing on the Second Amendment.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, so when, a gun store charges me for a weapon, that infringes my right to own a weapon. It's my right to have a gun, any gun that I want. It's my right. So they should be able to just give me a gun for free. Otherwise, you're infringing my ability to own a gun.
I mean, there's an argument to be made there.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the thing about the Bible. You could take any Bible verse and twist it to suit your own means.
Yeah.
But yeah. So that was a segment idea that I had in my notes where we take old quotes that people use and talk about them in reality. I think we did that before with blood. Was it blood thicker than water?
Yeah, we did.
And I think Mitch broke down what that really meant. Excuse me. And yeah. Those damn cyclists, man.
Those damn George Santos cyclists.
We are infringing on George Santos's right to defraud his employees in a lie.
Mm-hmm.
That's his freedom, Danny. That's his freedom. If we need to crack down laws on him for security reasons, we don't deserve security.
No.
It doesn't sound as sexy now, does it, Danny?
No, it does not.
Does not. Huh.
You should have been a lawyer or some shit.
I've been told that, actually. But, school. School.
Yeah.
Anyway, do you have anything else?
I don't. I'm tapped out.
All right, do I? Now we'll talk about Endgame later, because you're wrong. Story McKenna. No, you can't be here. Let's get Mitch back in here for that. No, I think I'm good, because a lot of these are go deep. Ooh, this is a good one, and I want Mitch here for this. Movies that are celebrated by people for the wrong reason.
Ooh, yeah. Yeah.
That's one that needs to come
I would even take that a step further. Characters that are celebrated for the wrong reason.
Sure. This is one that actually Mitch brought up, and I remember I wrote it down. And this is it's a little trailers now. We're doing trailers for our next episodes. I already said weird opinions on voting and voting laws. Trailer, I don't think voting should be a right. Mitch brought this up, which I think is interesting. Has the country progressed because of laws or because of the country maturing? If protective laws were removed, would people behave the same? I actually thought that was an interesting point. Do you understand that, like what I meant, or no?
Yeah, no, I do. It's very. I mean, because we live in an age where trolls run rampant, I can see that being a big problem.
Yeah, I remember Mitch. At first, I thought he was going in a weird direction, but he kind of said he's like during like the 50s and 60s and 70s, all these social movements, all this stuff happening, and laws were passed. But has society actually matured, or if a lot of these like civil rights laws were removed, would people start like fucking around again? And I was like, oh, it's an interesting topic.
Well, we've already seen it, man. Like, in 2009 or 10, after the recession, Obama era politics put in banking regulations, and when Trump got in office, he removed them. And what happened? Business as usual, man. They went immediately back to what they were doing.
That's fair. What else? So I already talked about. I'm gonna leave the rule of two on here just in case Mitch has an opinion later. Okay. Danny versus Mike, Endgame in the trade timelines. You're wrong. Yeah, I think that's about it. It's good. I have QAnon in here still.
What can we say about QAnon that we haven't already said? They were right.
There's still like people who follow that shit and think it's real. It's very interesting to me.
You know, morons.
Toilet paper during COVID. I could probably just remove that one.
Just like a question, why?
No, I think we did talk about why. Or at least the theories why. My phone's a piece of shit. God damn it.
Plenty of canned goods on the shelf. Plenty of dry goods on the shelves, but no fucking toilet paper. Why?
Oh, that's a good
and
one.
It's like toilet paper's not even like a necessity.
No, so we did bring this up at one point that I remember I read some articles about the psychology of it, and it was kind of like, I think it started like there's two takes on it that I remember reading about. That one, it may have started like in a way where one person hoarded a bunch of toilet paper. Like, for instance, I've said it before, I have like digestive issues, so I make sure we are fully stocked with toilet paper just for my own selfish needs.
Yeah.
But so like during that time, I remember when like this toilet paper thing happened, I was like, oh shit. And I went on Amazon, I went to the store just to make sure. I wasn't like hoarding toilet paper for the sake of hoarding toilet paper, but it was that ripple effect to where all these other people are doing it. I need to make sure I have some.
Yeah.
And there's that aspect to it to where it's not like you're one of these hoarders, but you're worried about the hoarders taking it, so you want to make sure you get yours.
Yeah.
There's that aspect of it. And then the psychological aspect of actually toilet paper is, I don't know how this would start, but I remember reading like how it's one of those things that like, hypothetically in a survival situation, if you don't have food, what can you do? I might eat plants. I could maybe eat plants. I can maybe go outside and try to shoot a bird or shoot an animal and eat it. But how am I going to wipe my ass?
You don't need to.
Well, to
if
survive,
you have running
yes.
water, you should be fine.
But the point is, there was like that. I remember reading there was like an aspect of somebody thinking that, like, wait a second, this is actually something I need, and then it being an issue. And I personally think it was more of it probably started on the small scale of people going, what do I need? Oh, I need toilet paper. And then when people started getting toilet paper, it's like, oh, wait, shit, the toilet paper's running out. We need more of it. Like, it's more about being worried about running out of it than actually needing it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Still dumb.
No, for dumb. This is a dumb comparison to it. Do you remember Sublimely Self-Righteous, the beer from Stone?
Yes.
So it was getting discontinued. This is years ago. I remember at the store seeing it, and it was still there, and I was like, oh, shit. And I took all of it. Like, I started just getting, there was like maybe 24 bottles, and I just started loading my cart up, because in my head, I know it's not being made again. Mm-hmm. And I didn't even think this till right now. There was a guy who came up, and he saw the shit in my cart, and he was like, oh, like, what's the deal with that? And I was like, oh, it's discontinued. They're not making it anymore. And he was like, oh. And he grabbed a bottle. Not because he wanted a bottle, but because this is now a hot commodity that's not going to be available. So he grabbed a bottle. And I think that kind of aspect was about the toilet paper too, if that makes sense. Weird comparison, but. Thoughts?
Economics, man. It's weird. Finance is so weird.
All right.
All right. You want to take us out because I brought us in?
I think it'll already be cut by this point.
Recording stopped. Stop recording. There we go.